Welcome everyone to this explainer. We're diving straight into a really fascinating and frankly frustrating situation right now. Colombia's digital nomad visa used to be this absolute golden ticket, right? Fill out an online form, show some proof of income from abroad, and boom, you're guaranteed up to 2 years living in one of the world's most vibrant remote work hotspots. It was this simple, beautiful promise for anyone chasing the digital nomad lifestyle. But if you look closely at what is actually happening on the ground today, that dream is colliding with a very harsh reality. We are seeing some really alarming visa rejection trends. And today, we're going to unpack exactly why this huge gap between expectation and reality even exists. Because here's the thing, immigration lawyers and expat forums are absolutely buzzing right now with stories of people who meet every single written requirement, yet they're still being shown the door. I mean, perfectly qualified applicants are suddenly getting rejected by the dozens. They aren't missing paperwork, they aren't under-earning, and yet the rejection emails just keep piling up. It really raises a critical question for anyone planning a life abroad. What on earth do you do when following the rules simply isn't enough anymore?
To understand all this, let's start with part 1, the dream on paper. Let's take a quick look at the timeline. Prior to late 2022, Colombia was already a total legend on the digital nomad trail, but working there was technically a legal gray area. Most remote workers were essentially bending the rules, relying on tourist permits, doing those exhausting border runs every few months just to reset their visa clocks. Then we saw a massive shift. In October 2022, Colombia officially rolled out Resolution 5477. Tucked right inside this overhaul was the V-type visa, specifically designed for nomads digitalis. Suddenly, the digital nomad lifestyle wasn't a gray area. It was official government policy. And honestly, the best part? The whole process was entirely online, with an official maximum processing time of just 30 days. You basically just needed a passport from a visa-exempt country, comprehensive health insurance, and proof of income. And speaking of income, the biggest draw was this incredibly accessible monthly requirement. You just had to prove the money came from a foreign source, since you were strictly forbidden from working for a local Colombian company. But you only needed to show you earned at least 3 times Colombia's monthly minimum wage. Depending on the exchange rate, that roughly translates to about $1,400. That literally made it one of the most accessible income thresholds in the entire world for remote workers. It truly felt like Colombia was rolling out the red carpet for us, and naturally, thousands of people started planning their futures there.
But then we got to part 2, a bureaucratic nightmare.
Let's look at a case study of a composite Canadian freelance marketing consultant. Let's call them Alex. Drawn by the amazing weather, the culture, that great entrepreneurial vibe in Medellin, Alex thought this new visa was the perfect fit. And Alex did everything right. They met every single written requirement. Their income was solid, averaging well over that $1,400 mark. They secured a letter from a long-term US-based client confirming their remote status, bought the exact right international health insurance, perfectly scanned everything, paid the fee, and hit submit. But after 30 days of waiting, instead of an approval, Alex got an email with a single devastating word: inadmitida, inadmissible. No explanation at all, no request for a missing document, just a completely closed door.
Which leads us directly into part 3, the hidden hurdles. Because Alex's shattered dream, it's not just some isolated glitch. It represents a systemic shift. The law itself, Resolution 5477, hasn't actually changed, but the way it's being enforced has completely morphed. The real culprit here is this legal concept called Facultad Discrecional. Basically, that translates to discretionary power. It is the government's legal right to make a totally subjective judgment on any file that crosses their desk. So while the law outlines the minimum requirements, this discretionary power means hitting that minimum is no longer a guarantee of approval. Officials are using this power to create a much narrower, much more restrictive path than the one the world was promised back in 2022.
So the reality is, you aren't just fighting the written law anymore. You are fighting completely unwritten expectations. First off, your professional profile matters way more than the rules actually suggest. While the law seems completely open to any remote worker, officials really seem to favor applicants with clear ties to tech or IT. If you're a writer, a consultant, or an online teacher like Alex, your profile might suddenly be deemed not of strategic interest to the country. Second, your income is under extreme scrutiny. If your pay fluctuates and dips below the threshold in even one of the last few months, you might just get denied. There's absolutely no averaging allowed. Plus, some applicants are actually getting caught by the daily exchange rate. Like, if the Colombian peso happens to strengthen on the exact day your file is reviewed, your completely stable dollar income might suddenly look insufficient on paper. Talk about bad luck, right? And finally, document quality is being heavily nitpicked.
An employment letter without a formal company logo? Rejected as informal. Bank statements without clearly labeled deposit sources? Huge red flag. They are even demanding apostilled criminal background checks lately, which is this costly, time-consuming step that was never consistently enforced before.
All right, let's move on to part 4, navigating the new reality.
Look, the digital nomad visa isn't impossible to get, but the landscape has fundamentally changed. You just can't treat this as a simple checkbox exercise anymore. You are quite literally building a legal case. To avoid Alex's fate, you've got to follow these 4 proactive strategies to build a bulletproof file. Step 1. Over-document everything. Don't just submit a simple letter. Include your formal remote work contract, signed agreements, links to your professional portfolio, your LinkedIn profile. You really need to prove you are a serious professional. Step 2. Write a persuasive cover letter. Now, this isn't officially required, but it's basically your only chance to speak directly to the official reviewing your case. Explain who you are and why you specifically chose Colombia. Step 3. Be absolutely obsessive about your finances. If you have multiple income streams, create a flawless financial spreadsheet. Itemize each specific deposit, tie it directly to a client, and prove that every single recent month exceeds the minimum. And step 4, consult a Colombian immigration lawyer before you apply. A few years ago, maybe this was a luxury. Today, it's practically a necessity. They know exactly what officials are currently looking for and can spot a red flag before it costs you your entire visa. Ultimately, your mindset really has to evolve here. We're seeing a massive shift from just meeting the minimum requirements to proactively proving your value. It's no longer about what Colombia can do for your digital nomad lifestyle. It's about what your lifestyle can do for Colombia. In that cover letter we just talked about, you need to frame your work in a way that sounds highly beneficial to their economy. Explicitly show them how you're going to spend your foreign income at local businesses, all without taking a local job. Proactively proving your value is really the only way to satisfy that highly unpredictable discretionary power. So, as we wrap up this explainer, it really begs the question, is the carefree digital nomad lifestyle shifting into a meticulous corporate strategy? I really want you to share your own visa experiences in the comments below and consider whether the golden era of easy nomad visas is officially behind us. Have you noticed these visa rejection trends yourself? Your story might actually be the exact thing that helps someone else avoid a massive headache. The dream of finding a paradise to work from is definitely still alive, but it clearly requires a lot more strategy than it used to. Let me know what you think, and hey, keep anticipating those unwritten rules.